Welcome back all. So today's class will be on how to plot a linear graph. So what happens if there is a change in slope of the graph, if there is a change in y-axis of the graph or the ordinate of the graph. So how these all how these all affect the nature of the graph, how the graph looks if you increase the slope suddenly, if you decrease the slope suddenly, if you make it negative, if you make it positive, what happens. Okay, so we always talk about our general concept of straight line, which is known as y equals to mx plus c. And how does this slope looks like? If everything is positive, it will look something like this. Okay, and what about this? So what is this signifying? That it is cutting the y-axis at some particular line which is above x-axis and above the origin, which is known as your c, or the ordinate or the y-intercept, which is known as this part is denoting the c. So in this case, in this diagram, it is a positive value. Okay, similarly it can be negative, it can be positive, it can be zero up to it. So up to the given problem. So if it is zero, then your line will pass through the origin. If it is negative, it will be having this negative value over here. So everything is with respect to origin. If it is positive, it will be above this. If it is negative, it is below this, right? So something like that will be starting off. And this is always the y-axis, this is always the x-axis. So because this is how we have studied our Cartesian plane. Okay, so this is the first quadrant, second quadrant, third quadrant, fourth quadrant, in case everybody doesn't know. And in trigonometry, we have already studied the concept that all sugar to coffee. What is that? It is saying that all sine, tan, cos. Here, everything is positive. Everything means sine, cos, tan, all are positive. Here, only sine is positive. Here, only tan is positive. Here, only cos is positive. So, all sugar to coffee is your anthem, so that you can understand which quadrant is positive or negative for which quadrant. Okay. So, this is what I mean. So, giving an example, if I take that sine 30. So can you see sine 30? So 30 degree will fall somewhere over here. So sine 30 will always, so all means all are positive, right? So we are talking generally about positive things. So here everything will be positive. Now if we are going to an obtuse angle, which is great. Can you see this is 90 degree? Every quadrant is 90, making a 360 over here. So a circle is a 360 degree. So what happens if we take an obtuse angle? For example, let us take an obtuse angle, for example 120 degree. So sine 120, if you have, so this will be your line. So sine 120 will be having what value? You are not sure. So see, all sugar to coffee. So you know that over here in this quadrant only sine is positive, and you are trying to calculate sine 120. So sine 120 will have a positive value. So you are getting an assumption or estimate that okay, here sine is positive, but what happens to the tan value? Because we are interested in finding out the slope, and what is denoted by slope? Tan theta. So what happens to this tan value over here? So clearly only sine is positive. So if you are taking an obtuse angle, so tan is negative, cos is negative, cot is negative, it doesn't matter because only sine is positive, right? Okay, so obviously tan will be negative. So you know that this slope, if you have an obtuse angle, this slope will be nothing but a negative slope. Okay, I am clear. I hope I am clear. Okay. So let me take a random example. So let me